Please, sit down. The class has begun, and frankly, the probability is high that you are already failing. In this video, you will understand why the piece of paper you framed on your wall, or are going into debt to acquire, that is right, your university diploma, has just become a toxic asset. You will discover the structural decoupling, a brutal economic phenomenon that is severing the link between entry-level jobs and professional mastery, effectively sawing off the bottom rungs of the career ladder you were told to climb. You will identify the architecture of exclusion, the algorithmic gauntlet that is liquidating 79% of applicants before a human even reads their name. And most importantly, you will learn exactly the mindset required to bypass all of this. Have you passed these tests yet? Let's find out now. To give you an idea of the grade inflation on your reality check, look at the numbers from the UK tech sector. In 2024 alone, graduate roles declined by 46%. This demonstrates to us that we are not talking about a recession. We are talking about a permanent erasure of the apprentice from the industrial logic. Due to the fact that the corporations that used to train you have realized that an AI subscription costs $20 a month, while you cost them time, errors, and patience. And regarding that, how have you been acting? Are you still standing at the gates of the job market holding a passport for a country that no longer exists? The fact is that if you do not learn the mandate of day one competency, who knows, your day one might not even exist. Or you will be part of the lost generation stuck between manual labor and high-level cognitive tasks you were never trained to touch. Hello, I am Fernando Diaz. Welcome to 2029, the Great Disruption. Today we are going to dismantle the most pervasive myth of the 20th century, the university degree as a ticket to enrichment. We will not use the standard dossier format. Instead, we will conduct the fall of the myth. We will take this absolute truth of common sense and deconstruct it piece by piece using the generational lens. First, we will shatter the myth of the ladder, exposing the seniority bias change. Second, we will break the myth of the credential, analyzing why skills now trade at a higher premium than PhDs. And finally, we will dissolve the myth of the future, revealing the only educational model that survives the 2030 transition. How about we start by looking at the data? Myth 1, the broken ladder, the structural decoupling. Stop for just 45 seconds and look at the evidence. If you open the window of 2026 and look at the skyline of the labor market, you won't see a construction site. You will see a demolition. We are witnessing a phenomenon that economists are calling structural decoupling. It sounds technical, like something you'd read in a dusty textbook, but in practice, it is the sound of the bridge you were supposed to cross before it ends up collapsing into the sea. For over a century, the deal was simple. You entered as a novice. You performed structured tasks, drafting reports, cleaning data sets, and in exchange, you received mentorship. It was a trade, your cheap labor for their expensive knowledge. That trade is canceled. The machine has made your cheap labor expensive. According to the report on the AI-driven transformation of graduate entry, the rapid diffusion of generative AI between 2022 and 2025 transformed the landscape. The weak AI that only collected data has evolved into robust AI, capable of performing the exact cognitive tasks that used to be the training wheels for your career. That is why this is the architectural silence of the modern office. It is because the junior associates aren't there anymore. The hum of conversation, of correction, of learning, it has been replaced by the quiet whir of a server rack. I remember my old Latin teacher in Buenos Aires. He was a severe man. He believed that declension was a moral obligation. He used to say, "Fernando, you must carry the stone before you can build the cathedral." He believed in the sacredness of the burden. But today, if you try to carry the stone, the market laughs at you. Why? Because the seniority bias change identified by Harvard researchers proves that firms are aggressively skipping junior hires while maintaining flat senior headcounts. And the reason is that they don't need stone carriers. They need cathedral architects. And they are willing to burn the bridge behind them to get them. Think about the implications. This isn't a recession. A recession is a pause. This is a liquidation. The UK tech sector saw a 46% decline in graduate roles in just 1 year. In the US, net IT job losses hit nearly 50,000 in 2023 alone as industry architects began automating their own entry points. This means that you are not facing a lack of demand, you are facing a lack of need. The reason the canary in the coal mine stopped singing was because it was replaced by a synthetic tweet. And for you, this creates a terrifying paradox. Corporations are effectively cannibalizing their future leadership supply for 2035 to save money today. It is cognitive metabolism gone wrong. They are eating the seed corn. And you are the seed. But do not despair yet, because if the ladder is broken, it means you don't have to climb it. You can fly. But to fly, you first need to survive the defense system they built to keep you out. Regarding the mechanism of this exclusion, I will still tell you later about how this explodes into the dominant niche in Myth 3, and how you can become the exception to the rule. But first, you must understand the weapon they are using against you right now. That is why we are going to move on to Myth 2, where you'll learn and identify the key elements of the algorithmic blockade. Myth 2, the credential illusion, the architecture of exclusion. Turn on your phone, open Indeed, look at that endless stream of listings. It looks like a marketplace, doesn't it? A place where professionals meet. It is not a marketplace. It is a fortress, and you are outside. We have entered the era of the architecture of exclusion. Recruitment has ceased to be a human networking model and has become an algorithmic gauntlet. The numbers are brutal. Only 21% of entry-level applicants currently reach a human interviewer. That means 79% of people like you are being liquidated by automated gatekeepers before a human eye ever sees your name. It is a massacre of ambition. But the horror goes deeper. Have you ever applied for a job and felt nothing? No rejection, no acceptance, just void. That is because you probably fell into the ghost job trap. It works like this. Data reveals that 42% of active job postings are stale or fake, served by automated systems merely to harvest your data or project company growth to investors. You are applying to a hallucination. You are feeding your resume into a machine that digests your hope and spits out the digital sediment of engagement metrics. Has anyone ever told you that this kind of market trick exists? Well, this reminds me of the plot of Fast and Furious. I know that is ridiculous. Cars flying between skyscrapers, defying gravity. But the job market today operates on the same defiance of physics. This is because it pretends to be moving. It pretends to be dynamic. But underneath the spectacle, there is no road. It is just noise. And the death of the degree is the direct result of this. Traditional credentials are being devalued in favor of skill-based hiring. Very different from what happened before. Only 5% of firms now mandate a traditional 4-year degree for new AI-era roles. Why? Because the market has calculated the real value of your diploma, and it is trading lower than a Coursera certificate in prompt engineering. Stop. Read this carefully. The AI skill premium has reached 23%. That is a wage return that nearly rivals the 33% premium offered by a PhD. Think about the time cost. 4 years of undergrad, 2 years of master's, 4 years of PhD, 10 years of your life, versus 6 months of intense, obsessive mastery of the new stack. What the market is telling you is that the friction of the real, the ability to actually do, is worth more than the theoretical prestige of the institution. Do you want a true example of how this happens? Then I will give it to you. I had a patient once, a brilliant lawyer. He spent his 20s grinding in a top firm. He did the document review. He did the research. He paid his dues. Today, research from the University of Sydney warns that those exact tasks, legal research and document review, are now AI native. His apprenticeship is gone. If he were starting today, he wouldn't be hired. The first-year lawyer tasks are identified as the most vulnerable. He would be obsolete on his day one. Did you understand the grave problem for which I am fighting to alert you? This is due to this revolution, which is the skill-based hiring revolution. It sounds meritocratic. It sounds fair, but it is ruthless. Because if you don't have the skill now, you don't get the job to learn the skill. It is a closed loop. You need experience to get a job, but you need a job to get experience, and the machine has eaten the jobs that gave experience. This leads us to only one relentless question. How do you break this cycle? How do you hack the algorithm of luck? About this problem of the collapse of apprenticeship, we will solve it by exploring myth 3. Because there is a way to short-circuit the system. There is a way to turn the exclusion into your greatest asset, and we are going to discuss that now. And, in a little while, before the end of the video, I will also leave you with a final analysis on how to behave in the most effective way across the main scenarios. Myth 3. The ethical vacuum, the flourishing of the resident. Silence. Listen to the vacuum. Not the vacuum of space, but the moral vacuum about which Yuval Noah Harari, historian, philosopher, and professor at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, author of the book Nexus, warned us. He identifies a world where bureaucratic algorithms, functioning without human agency or wisdom, are becoming the ethically blind gatekeepers of human life. We are standing on the edge of this abyss, but gravity works both ways. You can fall, or you can use the momentum to dive. The institutional business model of the 20th century university is insolvent. It is a bank run on credibility. But from the ashes of the theory-only degree, a new form of life is emerging. The high-intensity residency mindset. I will explain to you exactly what that is. Look first at the Swiss Institute of Artificial Intelligence, SIAI. They realized the game was up. They understood that high-quality AI training is a loss leader due to the massive costs of GPU compute. So what did they do? They pivoted. They utilize high-margin executive AI MBAs to cross-subsidize intensive research programs. They stopped being a school and started being a forge. And this is the residency mindset model you must adopt. In other words, the new mandate is certified day one professional competency, ensuring you can perform at the level of a pre-AI professional with 3 years of experience from your first day. This means you cannot be a student anymore. That is because student implies passivity. It implies consumption. You must be a resident. Do you understand the difference? A resident doctor doesn't just read about surgery. They hold the scalpel while the patient bleeds. You must find the dominant niche. Look at McKinsey. While other firms are slashing junior roles, McKinsey projects a 12% increase in junior hiring in North America. Why? Because they are looking for day one professionals who apply AI to complex, non-routine problem solving. Did you understand how you need to position yourself in the market? After all, they are hiring the architects, not the bricklayers. But here is the twist, the but that saves your soul. What we know is that the machine is blind, and that because of this, Harari's moral vacuum is real. If algorithms have no wisdom, besides efficient, they are ethically blind. This means the only AI-proof graduate is the one who possesses ethical skills, empathy, complex judgment, and conflict resolution. Because these are the human-centric capabilities that still remain superior to AI agents. Think about the city of Prague for a second. The city wasn't designed by an algorithm. It was grown, century by human needs, human wars, human prayers. It has a soul because it has friction. If it were a city designed by AI, it would be repetitive, tedious, like Brasilia is, for example, the planned city that became the capital of Brazil, and where almost no one wants to live. Therefore, your career must have that same friction of Prague. If you try to be smooth, to be a perfectly optimized cog in the architecture of exclusion, you will be replaced by a smoother cog. But if you are jagged, if you are complex, if you bring the wisdom that the data lacks, you become undeniable. The truth of what I am telling you is that the era of the trainee is over. The structural decoupling of the labor market demands that we move with wisdom and foresight into an era where the past no longer predicts the future. The lost generation is a real threat. Graduates stuck between manual labor and high-level cognitive tasks they were never trained to bridge have their days numbered. Don't be lost. Be the bridge. The university won't save you. The government won't save you, unless you live in Portugal and can access their youth employment tax incentives, which is unlikely for most people. You must save yourself. You must build your own residency mindset. Use Coursera not to get a badge, but to get a weapon. Use the ghost jobs not as a source of hope, but as a source of intelligence on what keywords the enemy values. And then, when you finally get in front of that human interviewer, that rare 21% chance, Show them something the AI didn't predict. Show them a human being who knows exactly who they are. And here goes the quick step-by-step for your transition to the resident mindset. The pragmatic prescription. So, what is the assignment? It is not an essay. It is a survival strategy. We have deconstructed the ladder, the credential, and the future. The myth is dead. Here is the reality that replaces it. The day one mandate. Stop acting like a junior. The junior category has been deleted. You need to reach senior output capability before you are hired. Use AI to bridge the gap. Learn the tools that allow you to simulate experience until you have it. The dominant niche. Do not be a generalist. Generalism is the kill zone of automation. Be the expert in the intersection of two fields, like AI governance added to synthetic biology. The human premium. If the machine handles the logic, you handle the friction. The ethical skills are your moat. Learn to negotiate, to manage conflict, to navigate the moral vacuum that the algorithm creates. That is the only thing a CEO cannot ask a model to do. The efficiency of 2029 solved your schedule. The machine doesn't want your labor, but it wants your ability to choose due to the moral vacuum that is insurmountable for it. This is the final test, and there is no answer key. Only the friction of the real can guide you now. Look back at that demolished skyline one last time. The dust from the collapsed ladder, the one you had to climb degrees to get a good job, has finally settled. And for the first time, the view is not terrifying, and it is unobstructed now for you. That is because the death of the diploma, for you, is no longer the end of learning. It is only the end of the waiting room. You have been evicted from the comfortable illusion of the syllabus so that you can finally inhabit the reality of your own potential. Do not mourn the safety you lost. Celebrate the sovereignty you gained. You are no longer a student begging for a grade. You are the architect of a new intelligence, free to build a skyscraper of competence that no algorithm can dismantle. This is your moment of courage. While the masses cry over the ruins of the old institutions, you have the rare privilege of laying the first brick of a career that belongs entirely to you. The residency is yours to design. The friction is yours to master. And the future is no longer something you study. It is something you command. We have seen that the ladder is broken. The credential is an illusion. But the vacuum of ethics is the space where you will build your fortress. Now, I am giving you a direct order because the time for theory is over. Do not let your friends and colleagues sleep through this demolition. Share this video immediately with the students, the graduates, and the professionals who are still holding on to a map of a world that no longer exists. Wake them up before the market does. Be the one who hands them the blueprint for survival. I am your chronological investigator, and I'll see you in the future. Bye!